In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. Dear brothers and sisters, today we begin the story of one of the noble prophets who succeeded Adam, peace be upon him. After the trials, the lessons, and the legacy left by Adam, Allah chose from among his children a righteous son to carry the torch of prophethood and guide humanity. His name was Sheeth, in English, and his story marks the continuation of divine guidance on earth after the passing of the father of mankind. The birth of Sheeth said. Sheeth was born after the tragic death of Abel. His name means the gift granted or the one bestowed, because he was seen as a special gift from Allah to Adam and Hawa, Eve, after the loss of their beloved son. Adam found comfort in his born, and Allah reassured him that through Sheeth, the line of prophets and righteous people would continue. Unlike Cain, who was rebellious, Sheeth grew up in obedience to Allah. He was known for his wisdom, humility, and deep connection with his father Adam. From a young age, Adam recognized in Sheeth the qualities of leadership and prophethood. The appointment as a prophet. When Adam was nearing the end of his life, he gathered his children and told them, Allah will never leave the earth without a guide for mankind. After me, Sheeth will be your leader and prophet. According to Islamic narrations, Allah revealed to Sheeth 50 scrolls, suhuf, containing guidance, laws, and wisdom for his people. These scriptures taught them how to worship, how to live in justice, and how to resist the whispers of Shaitan. Sheeth's mission was not only to lead his own family, but to guide the early generations of humankind who were spreading across the earth. The teachings of Prophet Sheeth A.S. emphasized worship of Allah alone without associating partners with him, prayer and fasting as forms of devotion, justice in dealings and kindness in society, respecting the sacred bonds of family, avoiding pride and envy, which had caused the downfall of Qabil. It is narrated that she also introduced systems of measurement, writing, and basic knowledge that helped organize the lives of the early communities. These were not ordinary skills, but divine gifts to help humanity progress under the guidance of Allah. Sheeth and the legacy of Adam. After Adam's death, Sheeth preserved his father's teachings and reminded the people about the great fall in paradise. He warned them against Iblis, who had not given up his mission of misguiding mankind. Iblis and his followers tried to lure people into disobedience, music, corruption, and arrogance. Sheeth stood firm, calling people back to righteousness. He would tell them, remember, we came from paradise. Do not trade eternal bliss for temporary desires. Follow Allah, and He will guide you back to where our father Adam once lived. Sheeth, as the father of future prophets, Sheeth, I.A.S., is regarded as the ancestor of many future prophets, including Noah, peace be upon him. Through his lineage, the line of prophethood continued unbroken, leading ultimately to the seal of the prophet, Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Thus, his role is not just as a prophet for his time, but as a foundation stone in the long chain of guidance that Allah placed for mankind. Conclusion of Part 1. This is the beginning of Sheeth's story. His blessed birth, his appointment as a prophet, and his mission to guide humanity after Adam. In the next part, we will explore more deeply the challenges he faced, how Shaitan lured some of his people astray, and how Sheeth maintained the light of faith in dark times. Written by Muhammad Al-Abbas Al-Majri. Don't forget, like, share, watch, comment. In the previous part, we explored the blessed birth of Sheeth, peace be upon divine appointment as a prophet after Adam and the beginning of his mission to guide mankind. In this part, we journey deeper into his struggles and victories, how he preserved the divine light in an age of trial, how he resisted the plots of Shaitan, and how he laid the foundation for generations of prophets who would follow. The early society under Sheeth. After Adam's passing, Sheeth inherited not only the responsibility of prophethood, but also the guardianship of humanity. The early human society was still small but growing. Families expanded, communities formed, and life began to take more structure. Sheeth reminded them constantly, hold on to the worship of Allah alone. Do not be deceived by the world or by Shaitan. We are on a journey back to the garden. We established gatherings of worship, teaching people prayers, fasting, charity, and how to live with justice and brotherhood. His leadership brought harmony, and people loved him for his humility and wisdom. The plot of Shaitan, but Shaitan was never absent. After failing to mislead Adam and being cursed, he turned his full attention to corrupting Adam's children. We've noticed that Sheeth's people lived in two groups. One group near the mountains, led by Sheeth and the righteous. Another group near the plains, where the children of Kabil lived, often indulging in desires and temptations. Shaitan devised the plan. If I cannot defeat the righteous by argument, I will seduce them with desire. He whispered to the people of Kabil, teaching them music, dance, and forms of corruption. He made sin attractive and spread arrogance, jealousy, and unlawful mixing between men and women. The temptation of the people. It is said that Shaitan himself appeared in human form among the descendants of Kabil. He introduced musical instruments and seductive gatherings. The sound of this new music traveled across the land until the righteous people in Sheeth's community heard it. Some of the youth, curious and weak in heart, asked Sheeth for permission to see what was happening. Sheeth forbade them, warning, do not go near them. They are under the deception of Shaitan. But some disobeyed, sneaking towards the plains. There, they saw beauty, music, and temptation, unlike anything they had known. Many of them fell into sin, mixing with the people of Kabil. Thus, the first wave of corruption began. Its response to corruption. Sheeth wept for his people. He warned them in sermons, O children of Adam, beware of Shaitan. He promised to mislead us since the time of our father. Do not trade your faith for lust or your eternal home for fleeting pleasure. He reminded them of the story of Iblis refusing to bow, of Kabil killing Habil, and of how envy and arrogance had destroyed lives. To protect his people, Sheeth established stricter laws of separation between the righteous and the corrupt. He urged his followers to remain steadfast and not mingle with those who had been led astray. The knowledge passed to Sheeth. Allah granted Sheeth divine wisdom beyond ordinary understanding. He was taught knowledge of the stars, seasons, and times so that people could organize their agricultural and daily life. This was not for astrology or superstition, but for planning and survival. He was also given knowledge of writing and measurement. This helped preserve the message of Adam and ensured that the revelation in the 50 scrolls remained intact. These sciences, when combined with faith, allowed the community of Sheeth to flourish in discipline and prosperity. The legacy of resistance. Despite Shaitan's tricks, many of Sheeth's people remained faithful. They continued worshipping Allah, teaching their children righteousness, and living with humility. Sheeth left behind a legacy of our journey. He foresaw that corruption would rise further in future generations, but he also promised that Allah would never abandon mankind. Prophets will continue to come, guiding them back to the straight path. Conclusion of Part 2, the story of Prophet Sheeth, A.S. In this part, teaches us about vigilance against Shaitan, the danger of disobedience, and the importance of clinging to divine revelation. He was not just a leader, but a protector, keeping the light of faith alive while the shadows of corruption spread. In the next part, we will explore the later years of Sheeth, his continuous struggle against evil, and the transition of prophethood to those who follow him. Written by Muhammad Al-Abbas Al-Majiri. Like, share, watch, comment. In the last part, we explored how Shaitan sowed corruption through music, temptations, and disobedience among the descendants of Kabil, while Sheeth worked tirelessly to preserve the purity of worship and the teaching of Adam, AAS. Now, in this third chapter, we enter the later stages of Sheeth's life, his continuous guidance, his deeper legacy of knowledge, and the preparation for future prophets. The wisdom of Sheeth. Sheeth was blessed not only as a prophet but also as a man of extraordinary wisdom. People would travel long distances to hear his advice, and he was known for his calm nature and patience. He never raised his voice in anger unnecessarily, and his words were filled with light and guidance. He often reminded people that this world was a temporary home, saying, "We were created for a higher purpose. Every action we do echoes in the hereafter. Guard your hearts from pride, jealousy, and lust, for they are the weapons of Shaitan." The written scrolls of Sheeth. It is narrated that Allah revealed 50 scrolls, Suhuf, to Sheeth, just as other prophets were given revelations. These scrolls contained laws of worship, prayers, fasting, and charity, guidance on justice and fairness in trade, moral teachings on honesty, purity, and family, lessons from Adam's life and the history of creation. These scrolls were preserved carefully by the righteous, and they formed part of the divine chain of revelation leading to future prophets, building a civilization. Sheeth's people grew in number and knowledge. He taught them agriculture, measurement, and organization. Villages became towns, and order began to spread. He also laid the foundation of governance, appointing trustworthy leaders in each community and ensuring disputes were settled by justice. This was the beginning of structured human society guided by divine law. Unlike the corrupted line of Kabil, who pursued desire and chaos, the line of Sheeth remained a symbol of order and morality. The trial of distance. But over time, the distance between the righteous and the corrupt widened. The children of Kabil continued sinking into immorality, while those with Sheeth guarded their purity. Yet curiosity still existed, and some righteous youth were tempted. Sheeth constantly reminded them, "Stay firm, O children of Adam. Do not let Shaitan drag you into the fire. He envies your obedience and wants only your destruction." He emphasized the importance of community, prayer, and remembrance of Allah, warning them that individual weakness could lead to the collapse of the entire society. Sheeth's family and successors. Sheeth had many children, and among them were righteous ones who carried forward his teachings. He appointed his son Enosh as his successor in guiding the people after him. This line of guidance passed from Adam to Sheeth and then to Enosh, became the blessed chain that eventually led to prophets such as Noah, Ibrahim, Abraham, Musa, Moses, Isa, Jesus, and finally Muhammad, peace be upon him. on them all. The final years of Sheeth. In his old age, Sheeth became a symbol of endurance. His face bore the marks of patience. His voice carried the weight of truth, and his eyes reflected wisdom. People loved him and held on to his every word, knowing that his days were drawing to a close. Before his death, Sheeth gathered his people and said, "O my people, I am soon to return to my Lord. I leave you with his worship alone, with his scriptures, and with the promise that he will never abandon you. Prophets will continue to come, one after another, until the final messenger appears. Hold fast to the rope of Allah, and you will succeed in both worlds." That Sheeth handed over the leadership to his son Anush and prepared to meet his Lord. Conclusion of part 3. Thus, Prophet Sheeth A.S. lived a long and noble life, establishing law, order, and knowledge after Adam. He preserved the message, protected his people from corruption, and became the foundation of prophetic succession. The story reminds us that leadership is not about power, but about service, patience, and faithfulness to Allah. Even in times of corruption, the light of guidance never goes out. It passes from one prophet to another until the mission is complete. Written by Muhammad Al-Abbas Al-Majiri. Like, share, watch, comment. In the previous chapters, we learned about the wisdom, leadership, and scrolls of Sheeth A.S., as well as his constant struggle to protect humanity from corruption. In this final part, we will explore his last years, his farewell to his people, his death, and the enduring legacy he left behind. Sheeth's continuing struggle, even in his old age, Sheeth A.S. never gave up teaching and guiding his people. His voice may have weakened, but his message remains strong. His word is fleeting, but the hereafter is eternal. Hold tightly to the rope of Allah, and you will never be lost. He constantly warned his people not to envy or desire the corrupted way of Kabil's descendants. He knew that Shaitan was patient, always waiting for an opportunity to mislead his relationship with the angels. It is narrated in Islamic traditions that angels would often visit Sheeth A.S., teaching him about the heavens, the stars, and divine secrets. This knowledge helped him lead with deep understanding. The angels told him about the coming of future prophets, including Noah, who would warn humanity before the great flood. Sheeth conveyed these prophecies to his people so they would know that guidance would never end. Appointing his successor before his death, Sheeth gathered his sons and followers. Among them, he chose his righteous son, Enosh, to continue leading after him. He advised Enosh, fear Allah in every matter, be just to the weak and the strong alike. Guard the worship of Allah, or Shaitan will never rest in his mission to destroy mankind. With this, he formally passed on the divine mission. Started with Adam, A.S., the death of Sheeth, A.S. After living for nearly 912 years, according to many Islamic historians, Sheeth felt the approach of death. His people surrounded him with tears, but he comforted them. Do not grieve for me, for I return to the Lord of all worlds. Continue on the path of truth, and He will be with you always. It is narrated that Allah sent down angels to perform his funeral rites, just as they had done with Adam, A.S. They washed his blessed body, wrapped him in shrouds, and prayed over him. Then they buried him with dignity and honor. The legacy of Sheeth, A.S. Sheeth's life had a profound impact on humanity. His legacy included the preservation of Adam's teachings, ensuring that worship of Allah alone continued. 50 revealed sacred scrolls, suhuf, containing divine guidance for morality, worship, and justice. A chain of successors, beginning with his son Anush, leading eventually to Nuh, Ibrahim, Musa, Isa, and finally Muhammad. Peace be upon them all. The separation of good and evil lineages. His people preserved righteousness, while Kabil's descendants carried corruption. Conclusion. Thus ended the noble life of Prophet Sheeth. A.S. A man of wisdom, patience, and divine leadership. He lived as a bridge between Adam and the prophets to come, keeping the flame of guidance alive in a darkening world. The story teaches us that true success lies not in wealth or power, but in faith, obedience, and steadfastness to Allah. Written by Muhammad Al-Abbas Al-Majiri. Like, share, watch, comment,